Namaste everybody. Welcome to the part 3 of the session on data and its types. In the first two sessions or the first two parts, we had discussed about what is data, what are the features of an ideal data, and what are the various sources of data. And we have discussed about some of the types of data like qualitative data and quantitative data, categorical data and numerical data, and other further subdivision of numerical data as discrete data and continuous data. And based on the method of collection of data, we discuss in detail about primary data and secondary data. So we would like to continue with this topic on data and its type. And now we are going to discuss a very important classification or the types of data which are very important in terms of statistics. Because for statistics we need different measurements, and based on the different measurements, because we cannot measure all the things at the same time or by same method or by same instrument. Like for example, if you want to measure liquid, we use the units of water, or we use the liquid in the form of liters, milliliters, etc. Whereas the solids are in terms of grams, kgs, etc. Similarly, the length in centimeters, meters, the temperature in Celsius, Fahrenheit, etc. So, if you look at these examples, you can understand that different types of the basic substratum will require different types of measurement. Similarly, in case of statistics also, different types of data will require different types of statistical application. So you cannot measure, or you cannot apply the statistical methods for all type of data. Suppose the data are categorical, the set of the statistical procedures or the set of the statistical applications or the statistical tests are something different. If they are numerical, they are something different. And if they are qualitative, they are something different. And if they are quantitative, they are something different. So that's the reason why for a statistician or a student of statistics, the data are divided uniquely, and this is called as scales of measurement, because we are using different scales for measuring these data. That's why it is called as scales of measurement. So let's talk in detail about these scales of measurement and its utility in statistics. So that's the reason why, as I said, it's very important to know what we are counting, what are the type of data we are collecting, whether it is the numbers, names, or whether you are trying to see some form of ranks or some order, like you see in case of a visual analog scale or a Likert scale, which is there in between 0 to 10 or 0 to 5, etc., or it follows a particular rank, or whether it is following a particular interval, is there a regular space in between these two values, or whether it has a true beginning or a true zero to have its beginning. So that's the reason why the different types of data's understanding is necessary in understanding the statistical methods. So let's look at this classification. So what is the whole basis of this classification of scales of measurement? On what basis they are classified? They are classified based on the order with an increasing accuracy, powerfulness of measurement, preciseness, and wide application of statistical techniques. Because, like for example, the ratio data are said to be more accurate as compared with the interval data or the ordinal data. And the ratio data are said to be more powerful as compared with ordinal data or the nominal data. And they are more precise. And most importantly, we cannot use all the statistical techniques for some set of data. Like for example, for nominal data and ordinal data, probably we could not use the arithmetic mean or standard deviation, or you could not use many types of parametric statistical test, etc. Whereas for the scale data or the numerical data like interval or ratio, we can use abundant types of the statistical methods and its application. So that's the reason why the different types of statistical data or different types of statistical methods can be applied for different types of data. So now let's come into the types or the basic differences of the different scales of measurement. It is, as I said, it is based on various mathematical properties. The four important scales of measurement as described by Stanley Stevens. So he was a psychologist and a very big researcher who developed this data, and he has put forward these four names. It is called as nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. So these are the four types of data based on the statistical understanding, or they are also called as scales of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. So as the word itself says, nominal refers to where you are categorizing or naming the data. Ordinal, you are arranging them in a particular order or you are ranking the data. Interval, you are giving a space between or the distance between, equal distance between two values. And most importantly, the ratios, where you could express in terms of the doubling or tripling of a values, which could start from a true value or true zero or a actual zero. Okay, so we'll talk about all these types in detail one by one, starting with the nominal data. The nominal data, the word nominal is derived from the Latin root nomen, means name. So it is related with the nomenclature. Nominative or the nominee are the related word which is used to explain nominal. So here we are trying to categorize the data, name the data based on their names or based on their counts. And here the number or the value do not have any significance. Like for example, if you categorize the data as male as 1 and female as 2, here 1 and 2 do not have any alphabetical strength or do not have any numerical strength. Or suppose you divide the data into blood groups as A, B, AB and O, and suppose you designate A as 1, B as 2, AB as 3 and O as 4. Here 1, 2, 3, 4 are just for the differentiation, categorization, identification, nomenclature, but never has any significance or do not have any strength for its understanding. So these numbers are just for mere identification, labeling and naming. Okay, and these categories are without any order or do not have any direction, like increasing order or decreasing order. They are one is better than the other. There's nothing like that. I think one of the best example which generally could be given is in most of the sports, the players will always wear the jersey numbers and they will have a particular number, and this number will not have any significance. Maybe it is 1 or 10. It doesn't mean that 10 is better than 1 or 1 is the best player of the team. It is just these numbers are given for labeling or identification of the players. Okay, so this is what are called as the nominal. Or sometimes you categorize the intervention as the case improved, case not improved, or cured, not cured. Okay, so present, absent. So when you categorize such data into numbers or names, then it is called as nominal data. So, but their use is restricted to keeping in track of the people, objects and the events, because they are least powerful in measurement, with no arithmetic origin, order, direction or distance relationship. Like the numbers do not have any significance, they do not maintain any order, there is nothing called as a direction, or the interval between is non-specific or unknown. And hence the nominal data is of restricted or limited use. Like for example, you cannot use all the statistical procedures. Maybe you can use only mode, or you can just tell in terms of the frequencies, but you cannot use the actual measures of location or dispersion or a statistical test like a parametric test, etc. cannot be used or cannot be applied for the nominal data. So that is where the data and its application becomes very important. So coming to some of the examples that we have talked about in terms of the nominal data. So as I said, this nominal data are any alphabetical or numeric code without any intrinsic order or ranking. Like suppose you give, like for example, for gender, like male, female, male 1, female 2, or blood group, or marital status, married, unmarried, or the jersey numbers of the players, or outcome of the treatment, cured, not cured, improved, not improved. So when you classify the data into such labels or the names, they are called as nominal data. Next, coming to the ordinal data, as the word itself says, ordinal refers to rank or order. So they will maintain a sequential order. So the ordinal data place events in the order, and they are ordered categories like ranking or scales. But though they are ordered, but the interval or the space in between the two data may not be fixed, or there is no clear interval between the two data. Like for example, suppose you categorize the data as a mild, moderate and severe. So the difference between mild to moderate and moderate to severe is not the same. Or suppose you categorize the pain as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So the difference between 0 and 1 and 4 and 5 are not the same. Okay. Or sometimes very commonly we can give this example. Suppose we give the rank to the students. So we rank the student who has scored the highest marks as first rank, then the second one as second rank, and so on till the succeeding numbers. But the difference between the first rank student and the second rank student, and the difference between the third rank student and the fourth rank student may not be having the same spacing or same distance or same interval. They are in the order, but the order may not have the same interval or may not have the same distance or the spacings. So the ordinal data allows for setting up inequalities and nothing much. They are just in the order but do not have any specific differences. The adjacent ranks need not be equal in their differences, and has no absolute value. Only relative positions are being given in case of ordinal data. Okay. So more precise comparisons are not possible because the interval is not clear, the distance between the two values are not clear. So sometimes the comparison may not be very clear, though it is made that you can say that the moderate is more severe than the mild, or severe is more severe than moderate. But what is that difference? It varies from condition to condition, situation to situation, may not be uniform or may not have maintain an equal interval. Like for example, as I said, ranks or grades of the student, or a quality rating of a service or a product, you say it's a very good, excellent, or poor, very poor, average. So the difference may not be having typical differences. See, most of the subjective symptoms that we have, like the pain or burning sensation, itching, etc., comes under these categories, where we categorize them into mild, moderate, severe, or even for that matter the Likert scale, where you categorize from 1 to 5 or 0 to 4 is a good example for the ordinal data, or where you have like a pravara, madhyama, avara, maybe sattva, etc. Is categorized where there is a difference, is a good example. Visual analog scale is again one more very good example for the ordinal data, where we use for the pain assessment. Okay, so like for example, the breast cancer mild, breast cancer moderate, breast cancer severe. Suppose you categorize in this way, then it becomes an ideal example for the ordinal data. So when you place the data in an order, or you rank them without any specific interval or distance, it is called as ordinal data. Coming to the next, numerical data or the interval data, also called as score data or the mark data. The interval data, in addition to the ranking, where there is a setting up of the inequalities, further allows for forming the differences. But for interval data, there is no absolute zero. The unique origin does not exist. So what do you mean by this? See, actually they will not have the true zero or the actual zero. Like the best example will be the temperature. See, the normal temperature is not zero. Okay. And like for example, the normal temperature could be 98.6. And from there it is 99, 100, 101. They go in a particular interval. So the difference between 100 and 101 and 101 and 102 are the same. Okay. So there is an equal distance between these two. But it will not have the actual zero or the true zero. So there will be nothing called as zero temperature. And it can take up the negative values also. Like for example, there could be -4 degrees or -8 degrees or -40 degrees also can be the possibilities in case of interval. Okay, because it doesn't have a true zero. It is called as, it has an arbitrary zero, an imaginary zero, but do not have a true or actual zero for its existence. The interval data are more powerful as compared with the ordinal scale due to the equality of the intervals. And the ideal examples are like the temperature in Fahrenheit, the laboratory investigations like the fasting blood sugar, serum bilirubin, serum cholesterol, like where exactly the actual starting point may not be zero, but a particular point. Like for example, the fasting blood sugar normal value could be above the abnormal values of a fasting blood sugar could be above 110 or 120 mm of milligram percentage, or the serum cholesterol could be 200 milligram percentage. Okay, so or serum bilirubin could be more than 1.4 or 1.5 milligram percentage. So it depends upon the different types. Okay, and the ideal, most of the laboratory investigations fit into, because they do not have the actual zero, they will always have the arbitrary zeros. And most importantly, they cannot be expressed in terms of ratios. Like for example, if we take the ideal example, like 10 degree Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius. See, though there is a difference of 10, but 20 degrees Celsius is not the double of 10 degrees Celsius. Because for example, if we convert this 10 degrees and 20 degrees into Fahrenheit, so it comes to around 10 degree Celsius will come around 50 degree Fahrenheit, and 20 degree Celsius will come to around 68 degree Fahrenheit. So 68 is definitely not the double of 50. So for example, there is one patient who is having fasting blood sugar of 150 mg percentage, or one more patient of 300 mg of the fasting blood sugar. So you cannot say that the patient who has 300 mg milligram percentage is having double fasting blood sugar as compared with the patient having 150, because it is not starting with the actual zero. It is starting with 110 or 120. Like for example, let's say 120. So the patient is having 30 milligram percentage more for patient who is having 150, and those who is having 300 is having 180 milligram percentage more than the normal values. So 30 and 120 cannot be double. Okay, so this is a very important thing that you should look for in case of the interval data. So with interval data, we can add and subtract, but cannot multiply, divide, or calculate the ratios. Okay, so this is very, very important. So we can always add, because the distance between the two values are same. You can always add or subtract, but you cannot express them in ratios. You cannot multiply them or divide them, because there is no true zero. But a lot of descriptive statistics and the infection statistics can be applied, but many of them cannot be applied in cases of the interval data. Okay, so moving on to the last data, that is the ratio. The ratio data allow for forming the quotients in addition to the setting up inequalities and forming the differences. That's the reason why all mathematical operations or manipulations with real numbers are possible on ratio data. So it can have an absolute or true zero and represent the actual amount or value. See, with true zero, it means that there are no negative values for the scaling being considered. Like for example, suppose you take height. So height can start with 0 centimeters, okay, but it cannot be having something like minus 20, minus 20 centimeters or minus 40 centimeters, or age for that matter, okay. So it cannot take up the negative values. And most importantly is you can always express in terms of doubles and triples. Like for example, there is a patient whose age is 50 years, and there's one more patient whose age is 25 years. So you can always say that the one who is 50 years old is double the age of 25 years old. Or there's a patient whose weight is 100 kgs. There's one more patient whose weight is 50 kgs. You can always definitely say that the one who is 100 kgs is double the weight of the 50 kgs, because they have a true or the actual or the absolute zero. They start with the actual zero. So that is where, because as the proportions or the ratios are possible along with the proper order and the proper distance. So it has orders, it has distance or interval, and it also can be expressed in terms of ratios. And that is why the ratio data are the most precise data and allow for the application of almost all the statistical techniques. The best example for this ratio data are like height, age or weight, income of a person, the time duration, etc. Okay. So to summarize these four important types of data: nominal data, ordinal data, interval data, and the ratio data, we can say that the nominal data have no order, thus only gives name or labels to various categories. That's the reason why it is called as nominal. Ordinal data have order, but the interval between the measurements is not meaningful. As it has an order, it is called as ordinal. The interval data have meaningful intervals between the measurement, but there is no true starting point. They just have the arbitrary starting point or the arbitrary zero, but do not have the actual or the true zero, but they have meaningful intervals. So that's the reason why it is called as interval data. The ratio data has the highest level of measurement. The ratios between the measurement as well as interval are meaningful because there is a starting point or the actual zero or the true zero, and it could be expressed in terms of ratios. There could be possibilities of doubling, multiplying 4 times, 10 times. Such applications are easily possible only for the ratio data. So as they are expressed in terms of ratio, it is called as ratio data. So nominal expressed in terms of numbers or categories just for identification or separation of the data. Ordinal follows a data but do not have a meaningful interval. Interval has the order as well as the meaningful interval or differences or the space between the values, which has a arbitrary zero but do not have the actual zero or the true zero, whereas the ratio will have the order, will have the interval, and which starts with the actual or the true zero and can be expressed in terms of ratios. So if we just like to summarize what are the important characters of these four types of data, you can see that the order is not present in nominal, whereas it is present in ordinal, interval and ratio. Counts or frequencies or distribution is present in all four of them. You can always apply the central tendency like mode, where you say that number which repeats maximum number of times in a given frequency in all four of them. Median can be applied only in case of ordinal, interval and ratio. Mean is very suitable for the interval and ratio, whereas can quantify the difference between each value, can add or subtract, can even whereas can multiply and can divide the values only in case of ratio, and the true zero is again only a part of the ratio data. So this is what are the important features or the characters of each one of them, because this becomes a very important factors to identify the data so that we can apply the appropriate statistical procedures or statistical methods for each one of the data. So what exactly is the relationship? As you see here that there is a the increasing level of information and the manipulation as we go on from the nominal data towards the ratio data. And one more important thing is mainly for the nominal data and the ordinal data, which is more of a qualitative data. Like we collect the data using the non-random methods, non-random sampling methods like purposive samplings methods are very commonly used for the data collection. And for the data analysis, we often use the non-parametric test, or even if the data are qualitative data, we could do something like the thematic analysis. We subcategorize all the opinions or the beliefs or experiences into themes, and then these themes are analyzed in case of qualitative data. And most oftenly we could apply some form of the non-parametric test for the nominal data as well as the ordinal data. Whereas for the interval data and the ratio data, we very oftenly use the parametric test. So that is where it becomes important to know the type of data and its relevance in terms of the selecting the appropriate statistical test. Even for that matter, the selecting the central tendency is also based on the type. The selecting the sampling technique, selecting the sample size, or selecting the study design also will be based on these data types. So the data type and its understanding is quite important in case of statistics. So let's see what are those statistical methods or statistical tools or procedures which are applicable for each of these data types, starting with the nominal data. For nominal data, we can express in terms of the frequencies. The frequency is the rate at which something occurs over a period of time or within a data set. Like for example, suppose there are 100 patients and you would like to know how many male and how many females were there. There were 60 females and 40 males. So you are expressing in terms of the frequencies. Proportion, you can easily calculate the proportion by dividing the frequency by the total number of events. Example, how often something happened divided by how often it could happen. Like for example, if you are putting the toss, how oftenly you are getting heads, or how oftenly we are getting the tails. Like for example, you have put the toss 10 times and you got 7 times heads. So the proportion can be easily be calculated by like 7 by 10, or it is 0.7. Or the percentage of the improvement of a disease. Like there was a disease and there was characterized by pain, and the patient says that there was improvement in 40% or 70%, etc. And suppose you want to represent in terms of tables or some visualization method, we can always use the pie chart or the bar diagram or bar chart, etc. as to be ideal representation of the nominal data. When it comes to ordinal data, you can summarize the ordinal data, of course, with the frequencies, proportion and the percentage, and you can visualize it with the pie and the bar diagrams. And additionally to this, the above things which we could have done even in case of the nominal data, we can use the percentiles or the median, mode and the interquartile range to summarize the data. So you can represent in terms of the quartile, pentile, decile or median, mode and interquartile range. So interquartile range is the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile, and this can be used to summarize the data. So coming to the interval as well as the ratio data, which combinedly are called as the continuous data, you can summarize your data using percentiles, median, interquartile range as well as mean, arithmetic mean, the standard deviation, range, mode. All this can be utilized to summarize the data in case of the interval and the ratio data. And to represent them in the visualization methods, you can always use histogram as well as the box plot. With the histogram, you can check the central tendency, variability, modality, kurtosis, like whether they are lateralized, and about the peakedness, about distribution can be known. But you cannot know about the outliers with the help of histogram, for which we commonly use the box plots. Can be used even to identify the outliers in a given distribution. And this all method of visualization can be used in case of continuous data. So finally, to talk about the the major application of this data. So this type of data can be used to select the appropriate central tendency and even the statistical test. Like for example, if the data is nominal, like you are expressing only in terms of names, the ideal central tendency would be more. If the data is ordinal, or if the data are even scale but the data are symmetrical, like if the data, though they are interval or ratio, but they are not centrally placed, they are not symmetrical, they are asymmetrical continuous data, then you have to go with the medians. Whereas the symmetrical data, which are interval and ratio, which are called as symmetrical scales, we can always use the arithmetic mean. Similarly, if the data is nominal and ordinal, very frequently we use the non-parametric test, maybe like Wilcoxon sign rank test, Mann-Whitney test, Kurzweil-Wallis test, etc. Whereas if it is interval data or the ratio data, we commonly use the parametric test like the t-test, z-test, f-test, ANOVA, repeated measure ANOVA, etc. So if you just have a look at this, you can easily understand that by knowing the scales of measurement or by knowing the type of data, it helps a statistician to select the appropriate central tendency, measures of variability, modality, and most importantly, the selection of the appropriate statistical test can be done with the help of the type of data that we gather or we process, analyze, and conclude. So with this, we would like to conclude these sessions, and these are few more references which the readers and the audience can go through and update their knowledge. And most of the references have been taken from these textbooks and the articles which have been mentioned in this context. So with these lines, we end this session on the data and its types. Thank you. Thank you very much.